All right, so what I'd like to do is just kind of make a pillow. Um, and then what we'll do is we'll re-topologize it. So we're going to make a pretty simple one at first. So I'm going to hit Shift D, and that duplicates it. And then just, I want to move this on the Y-axis, so I'll just move it over here. Now I'm going to make sure everything is unhidden, Shift H, and then um, hide everything. So Alt H brings everything back as a reminder, and then Shift H hides everything but that object. All right, so what I want to do is just kind of, maybe I'll sculpt some threads and I'll widen out the cushion. All right. And we could add like a little design, maybe kind of like a little button, nothing too crazy. So I'm going to jump over to my sculpting tab over here, and I don't have a tablet. Ordinarily I would. And under object display here, I want to go ahead and turn on wireframe on this object just to show you. Now, when I'm sculpting this or moving this around, so there's like this brush called the grab brush, and I'm gonna hit F to scale this up. What it's doing is it's really just pulling the vertices that are there. So it's nice to have some more subdivisions, like so we can cut it right away. So what I normally do is I go to remesh here and I set this voxel size to maybe 0.01, and then I hit remesh, and you can see it added a bunch more cuts. And now when I pull it, you can see it's kind of pulling a bunch more stuff. Now I'm gonna hit F and make this really big and just kind of make sure my brush is sitting here, and then just sort of pull that out a little bit. I'll pull that out as well. If you want to, you can get creative and just sort of pull these corners up, pull this down. No, you're just kind of given and if you want it to be symmetrical, you can turn this on, but I think it has to be on actually, let's do this Y. Yeah, it's not completely, like, it's not centered, the origin. See how that's off a little bit? So let me tab out and go to object mode here. And let's select our move tool, and then let's go to object, set origin to geometry. That might center it a little bit better. We did tweak it a little bit, but let's go back to tab, and then let's go to sculpting, and now that should, yeah, that did it a little bit better. So now we're kind of sculpting each side if we want to make it a little more symmetrical. And I'm going to pull this out too a little bit. Let me bring this down. So really kind of affecting this. So anyway, we're just kind of making it a more interesting pillow, All right, so let's say we want to, I don't know, add a strip that runs on the side here. I'm going to make my brush really small, and I'm going to hit C to grab my clay brush, right? But as I hold Command or Control and I sculpt on this, you're not noticing much happening, and that's because there's not a lot of geometry for a brush this small. So that's where a dyne topo comes in. Now, what's nice about this is based on your brush size, we can set it up so that it carves in there. Now, what this warning came up is it's saying it's going to delete the UVs, which is fine because this isn't the model that I'm going to unwrap. Now what I could do is if I hold Command, you could see it's actually adding a ton of geometry as I hold Command to carve in there. Now let's undo that, and let's actually turn off wireframe for a second so we could see this live. So I'm going to make my strength a little bit bigger, and I'm just going to hold Alt and just go straight down. Again, there's masking tools, there's other tools that'll pinch a little bit better, and we'll just go all the way like this. There we go. So you can see here, we've got a nice sculpt going. If I want to, I can go on the edge here and just kind of bring that up. I can also go inside of here and just kind of draw in maybe some stitches. Something else you can do is, let me hit F and make this a little bigger, is I can carve inside of here. Maybe a little, we'll go a lot smaller than that. A little area like this, and then I'll just put a button in the middle. All right, and that's it. Now let's say we're happy with that, right? And, just a trick. And really, this only looks good if you're using references. I can hold Control, and I could carve in a few lines, and then release Control, just make the areas next to the carve points smoother. And if I hold Shift and I just tab it, that looks a little bit more like cloth folds. But cloth folds always look better. See how it kind of looks like this pinched? They always look better if you're using a reference to look at the way they are and match it. All right, so let's say we're happy with that, right? We got a button, we've got those carved pieces. How do we actually create the low poly version of this so for us to bake it? So let's go back to layout here. And I'm gonna go to edit and preferences here. And under get extensions, I'm gonna type B surfaces. And this is a plugin that comes with it, right? Sorry, B surfaces. And this is a plugin that comes with Blender. And we're gonna hit install here. And just let that install. And once that installs, you're going to see that, let's see. under edit here, it adds this menu B surfaces under edit here. And what's nice is we can do stuff like add a surface, edit surface, initialize B surface mesh. And this will create a mesh that we can use as a low to bake this to. All right, so let's go ahead and hit initialize add B surface mesh, and you'll see it added it in that chair folder. And all this is an empty object, and what this will do is this is going to be our container for when we actually draw. So for example, if I draw a line here and I draw a line down here, I can hit add surface, and it created a surface across there. And with this surface selected, we can actually use this to kind of draw across this model. Now, a couple of things to notice too is as we're drawing geometry across the surface is it automatically added the snap modifier that'll let us snap to the surface. And it also added shrink wrap to this so that it's going to shrink wrap to the surface of this object. All right, so let's create some geometry. So I'm going to hit 2 to go to edge mode, and I'm going to select these edges here. And I can hold Control and right click. Let's see, might be easier if I just, like you can control and right click up the surface that way and that'll snap it. You could also select all of these and then press E and then just move it this way. And you could see it's actually drawing that geometry around the surface. So I could hit E, go this way, E, and then this way. It's just going along the surface of my model, and I could just go all the way around like that. And then we'll do E one more this way. And looks like I lost kind of, let me undo that a couple times and just make sure that, if I go like this and I hold E and I go straight down, it gives me a little more control. I kind of did that a little quickly. And then E. And then let's see if I select this edge, that edge, and these two edges, let's see, here and here, and I hit F, that'll fill them here and here. Again, just kind of, now, and I'll show you in a second because we would need more cuts going that way, but so I'm just kind of, selecting each one of these edges here. It looks like we need one more cut this way to line those up. Let's see, if I select these two here, hit F to fill these two edges here. Oh, you know what? We don't have the same, let me undo that face mode there. We don't have enough edges. Let me hide my, let's see, there's that mesh. Let me hide my high poly there. Notice as I look through this, because it's set to transparent, I don't have a cut on the front. So I'm just gonna hit Control R. Let's go ahead and hit Control R here, and then I'm just gonna move that up so it matches. But what you're seeing is if I hit on that, notice that it does that small shift, and that's because as I'm hitting Control R, it's still matching the shape of this object here. So for example, if I click here, hopefully that's not too hard to see. So now if I select those two edges, these two on the edge here, and I hit F to fill, that'll fill that for us. So let me go ahead and just hide the high poly. Let's see. Oh, I guess it hides both because they're linked. Let me see here. Yeah, there we go. So you could see here, actually these faces ended up getting flipped. So let me take off, so it gets a little weird, and I know I'm rushing through this, but we are approaching finals week. So let's go ahead and go to object mode here. And actually, I think I need to turn off, let's see, display wire from here, not here. So I'll turn it off here, and then I'll just cycle it through this section here. Yeah, so these look like they're flipped on this side. And I'm going to show you how to fix all of this. So if I go to tab and then back to edit mode on this, I'm going to hit 3 for face mode. And yeah, it looks like this got really messed up. So I'm going to delete this face because it looks like I might have selected and like 2 of the wrong edges. So these ones look, let's see, this face here. Yeah, this one's okay. This one's okay. This one's okay. So let's go ahead and hit 2 to go to edge mode. Select these two, hit F to fill it. And then these top two, hit F to fill it. There we go. Looks a lot better. Let's do the same thing on this side. Just be careful which ones you select. F. Now the next thing I want to do is bring this guy back, my high res. Not the chair, where's that at? And I'm going to name this high pillow. Pillow. High. And then we'll, let's see. And then this is our B surface. So maybe I can just kind of move them next to each other. I guess I can't. All right, so what we could do is I'm going to hit 1, and I'm just going to drag these out. So let's go ahead and hit Shift Space, and grab our transform tool. You could also press T, right? Or is it Shift T? Or Shift Space and then transform. And then, you know, obviously you can just click it here. And I'm just going to grab all of these and just push them out. And notice that no matter how far I push it out, it still locks, and that's due to this, right, where we have our snapping on. So I'm just kind of moving both of these out to the side. And I'm just trying to capture as much of that shape as I can. So maybe moving this down and out. Same thing with all of these, move them down. Move these over. Just so they get to the side of that pillow. There we go. And, you know, just kind of tweaking this a little bit. We're not going to get too crazy. You know, we don't want this too high poly either. And I'm going to grab these edges, hit S, and then Z, and then scale them so they're all straight. Because you always want clean, nice, smooth edges. And I really do need to make a better modeling video here. Oh, wow, that really messed that up. Let's see, S, and Z. What if I just do it from the front? Does that, yeah, I guess because it's based on, when we look at this, it's based on face projection. Maybe we could try face nearest. And let's see if that allows me to straighten those out. Yeah. What that does is it does the nearest face and not based on the projection of the camera. So that didn't screw up the scaling as I did this. And if you want to capture, like, see how there's still the shape of this bunts out, but my low is low, you can hit Control R and just add a cut there and just move it up. That did a pretty good job. Add one more in there. This is not a hero piece. So you'll hear that term a lot in the game industry, and what that means is it's a piece that is like going to be seen a lot, or should be very large. It looks like this face somehow got messed up, and I think it's flipped, so I'm going to hit 3 again, unless I didn't fill it. So I'm going to hit 2, select these 2 edges here, and hit F to fill it. There we go. Okay. So now if I hit Control R, something going on with this edge. Control R. That one worked. That one did not work there. So what I tend to do is just kind of test it. You know, that one looks okay. Does it break away or move? I think that's good. There is something going on, but anyway, I think that's a good place to stop for this pillow. And I think in the next video, we'll go ahead and take a look at unwrapping and texturing the pillow.